whilst we were planning for this program, we were discussing what should be the next topic, the second topic for our next star speaker. And we were talking about, because there is somewhere in the market or amongst the clients, there is a concern that Sensex has reached to 30,000 or 29,000 levels. We thought, let's look at the numbers. And when we were doing these numbers, we took a rolling return of 10 years, which means a monthly rolling return of 10 years since 1997 to 2014 December, April 97 to 2014 December. What rolling return means, for some of you who don't know, is, say for example, if you have invested in January 2001, and I'm talking about monthly rolling for the next 10 years, so January 2001 to December 2010 is 10-year return. February 2001 to January 2011, so on and so forth. Okay, and the number, what it was showing, that the minimum return somebody has got from equity funds, diversified equity funds during this period is 15%, minimum return. And the maximum return is 35%. It means somebody who got 15%, his 10 lakhs has become 40 lakhs. Somebody who got 35%, his 10 lakh became 2.2 crores. Okay. However, which is a concern that funds perform but investors don't. Investment perform but investors don't. And Indian markets may have grown 10 times in the last 12 years. The fund managers have performed, but majority of the investors have not seen their money growing. There is definitely a gap between investors' performance and investment performance. Our next speaker, Aashish Somaiyaa, identifies those gaps and will tell us how one can bridge those gaps and improve the investors' performance. Aashish P. Somaiyaa is Managing Director and CEO at Motilal Oswal Asset Management Company Limited. For me personally, during my days in mutual fund, he has played roles of friend, philosopher and guide. Even when I started as a financial advisor. Motilal Oswal as an investment house has been into research, coverage and advising on equities for the last 25 years. It's one of the few investment houses which has a well-defined investment philosophy and process, which is being documented and refined over the last 18 years, and there is money riding on this philosophy for the last 10 years. Considering these significant strengths, it's a key objective to build a business that is seen to be an expert equity house based on its unique buy right, sit tight investment philosophy. Aashish brings with him more than 15 years of rich experience in sales and distribution, channel management, product development and institutional sales. In short, virtually, other than compliance and operations, he has worked in every department of mutual fund. His last stint was with ICICI Prudential Asset Management Company Limited as Senior Vice President and Head of Retail Business, where he was responsible for sales and distribution of mutual fund, PMS and real estate products through retail banking and private wealth management channels across India and UAE. Aashish is a Bachelor in Engineering Polymers from the University of Mumbai. He also holds in Masters in Management Studies from NMIMS. He is a certified trainer. He loves public speaking, writing and reading books on investing, sales and business strategy. Can we now invite the man from Motilal Oswal Asset Management Limited, ladies and gentlemen, Aashish Somaiyaa.
So very warm welcome to all of you, and I would like to thank Gajendra and Vinayak and the entire team at Azure for giving me an opportunity to come here and speak to all of you. And I should thank all of you also for sparing your Saturday evening. And I know it is absolutely criminal that you call people on a Saturday evening. They could have been at very many other interesting places, but you call them here on a Saturday evening and then you show them graphs and charts. And I don't really know how many of you use graphs and charts in your daily life, whereas we use them all the time to obfuscate so many things, right? So I will try and I have one promise to make to you, that all the slides where there are charts, I will skip them. Okay? And there are not many slides actually which have charts, but if there are any that you find along the way, I will try to skip them, because I myself don't like graphs and charts, right? So if you actually see, this is a very famous phrase. If you've been to London, the metro in London, there is a gap between the train and the platform. So every time the train enters the platform, they announce mind the gap. Okay? So why is this mind the gap relevant to your and my discussion? It's very, very important, because if you fall in that gap, you are risking your life. But this is not any better. If you fall in this gap, then you're risking your financial well-being. Okay? And it's very simply put like this. If you see, so this is not a graph or a chart, it's just a pictorial representation, but I'll just explain something to you. If you are on Facebook or WhatsApp or your email, you must have got this very famous example. Somebody or the other must have either posted it on Facebook or sent it to you as an email, that 10,000 rupees, if it was invested in Wipro in the year 1980, then the current value would have been, even Anup mentioned something about Infosys similarly, right? But I don't know for what reason. Wipro is a very famous example, and a lot of you might have received that if you had invested 10,000 rupees in Wipro in 1980, the current value would be, what is the latest number that has been circulated? No, because there is some Johnny who is so interested, who actually updates the value and forwards it to everybody the last time. And that only exaggerates my example, because what I'm trying to tell you is that, by the way, how many of you have never heard of this? 10,000 rupees invested in 1980 has become 600 and something crores. ऐसा example बहुत लोगों ने email किया है और Facebook पे चिपकाया भी है उसको. But यहाँ पे कितने ऐसे लोग हैं जिन्होंने ये सुना ही नहीं है कभी? You guys need to kind of figure out the right set of friends. Huh? I think they are sending you only jokes. They are not sending you any relevant information. Okay? But it's a fact that 10,000 rupees invested in 1980 has become 700, and all of that is truth. And like I said, there are many people who actually update. अच्छा ये साल में इतना bonus आया, फिर इतना split किया, फिर rights issue आया, फिर ये हो गया. All these things people calculate, they update, and they send also. जानते सब है, करता कोई नहीं है. That is the main point. Okay? Now I'll tell you something, it is not to do with Wipro or Infosys. I'll tell you something even more staggering. That the entire Sensex, which has 30 companies, okay? The entire Sensex, which has 30 companies, has actually gone up 100 times in the last 30 years. 100 times in last 30 years, which means that it is 17% compounded every year. Okay? अभी ये भी शायद सुना होगा कई लोगों ने. तो what is the point? What is this trying to say? That Sensex has gone up 100 times in 30 years. Infosys has gone up 2,000 times in 20 years. Wipro has also gone up unginet times in these many years. So the investment has given fantastic return. Okay? Has the investor actually got the return? How many people have actually, so most of you would have been investing in equity. Even I have been investing in equity. But I have not seen my wealth going up 300 times or 400 times or something. So I don't know how many of you have also actually seen that just like the Sensex, your value has gone up, Infosys or Wipro 2,000 times and 3,000 times. So the whole point is that, why did I say mind the gap? I said mind the gap because the investment makes a lot of return, but the investor generally makes much lesser. इसीलिए अखबार पढ़ के सब फ्रस्ट्रेट हो जाते हैं कि ये तुम पता नहीं क्या लिख रहा है, सेंसेक्स 30,000 हो गया, मेरे पोर्टफोलियो में तो ऐसा कुछ नहीं दिख रहा है, राइट? सो दीज आर द थिंग्स व्हिच एक्चुअली फ्रस्ट्रेट पीपल, दैट द इन्वेस्टमेंट इज गिविंग फैंटास्टिक रिटर्न्स. एवरीबडी वो सेंसेक्स का बिल्डिंग पे से गुब्बारे भी उड़ा दिए सबने, लेकिन हमारा कुछ नहीं हुआ, राइट? सो दैट इज वेयर द गैप इज. So let me give you some examples, and this part I will skip pretty fast because you know all these things. So let me just give you some examples of what are the kind of returns that investments have generated. And then I will come to what is the experience of investors actually. So this is what I told you first, that the Sensex itself has gone up 106 times in 30 years. Okay? And it's just one way up. There are some blips up and down, but straight up. And it's not only Infosys or Wipro. You'll be surprised to know that if you take a time bucket of last 20 years, from 1994 to 2014, it's not just one or two names here like Infosys and Wipro are right up there. There are actually 47 different companies whose stock prices have gone up more than 100 times in the last 20 years. So ऐसा कोई एक दो चमत्कार नहीं है. There are 47 companies whose prices have gone up more than 100 times in last 20 years. So let's cut this a little here and let me ask you कि ये सब नाम सबने सुने हैं? Sir, you don't stress your eyes. We'll ensure the list is available because it is about the past. It is always available. No, but what I'm coming to one point, which is that so everybody has seen this happening, right? And I told you about this Wipro also. So what is the reason that everybody knows about it, but nobody actually practices it? What do you think is the reason? ऐसा है कि कभी, is it that nobody has, meaning that there are 8,000 listed companies, we have invested in 7,953 other companies, and unfortunately ये 47 हमको नहीं पता था. ऐसा हुआ है? Is it like that? Was it that this is on some other exchange which you never knew of? It's the same BSE, NSE. So why is it that everybody knows these things but nobody has made even half of this? What is the reason? Can anybody take a guess? Lot of buying and selling, patience. So I'll tell you why we write, like we've written here, buy right, sit tight. We pay a lot of money to write buy right, sit tight everywhere. And I'll tell you something funny. No, it comes on, it's there in you. We don't let you see a movie without bothering you with this, right? Every time a new movie releases, we put this there. But I'll tell you the funny part of this. I was in a conference very recently, and one gentleman, so a lot of time people get frustrated and tell me at the end, so I'm telling you in the beginning. A gentleman told me that, ये क्या buy right sit tight लिखा है? हम 7 साल से sit tight है, हमारा तो कुछ नहीं हुआ है. They actually, they felt that way. So I said that the sit tight has to be preceded by the buy right. And why we put this slogan this way, is because normally speaking, when people buy right, what do? Normally when people buy right, they book profits. And when they buy wrong, they become long-term investors. It's a fact. And there are so many statistics about this. There are innumerable statistics about this. Let me share some numbers with you or some statistics. Okay. So you know that our entire market value, share bazaar ka total value, is 100 lakh crores. Okay. It's 100 lakh crores. Out of this, 55% of the market is owned by promoters. Owner, meaning it's a manifestation of the fact that they are the entrepreneur, they own the company. So that part doesn't come in the market. Okay, so 55% is a manifestation of their ownership. 25% is owned by foreigners, what we call FIIs. Another 10% is owned by domestic institutions, which is called DIIs. And the rest is, आमतौर पे बोलते हैं retail holding, but strictly speaking it is not retail because there are a lot of HNIs. It is actually non-promoter, non-institutional holding. So 55% promoters, 25% FIIs, 10% DIIs, and 10% is non-promoter, non-institution. So slightly long-winded, but this 10% of 100 lakh crores is how much? 10 lakh crores. तो पहले तो आप ये ध्यान में रखिए कि सुबह से शाम तक जो लोग CNBC देखते हैं, इतना हल्ला करते हैं, that's actually only 10% of the market. Okay? Because for example, my company is a listed company. I don't see the share price and then leave my home thinking अभी office जाना है कि नहीं जाना है. Right? So promoters of companies or the management of companies, they don't see the share price and then leave for work. So who is actually seeing CNBC? All the people who own the 10% of the market, right? The other guys, 55, 25, and 10. Now this is the statistic for the full market, okay? Full market is 100 lakh crores. Now out of that, 50 lakh crores is just Nifty. So it's so funny, see, 8,000 listed companies is 100 lakh crores. Out of that, 50 lakh crores is just the top 50 companies, okay? And a minute back I told you that in the full market, FIIs are 25%, and all of us, non-promoter, non-institution, is let's say 10%. I told you it's about 10%. Could be lesser, but assume 10%. If I ask you these numbers just for Nifty, which are the best 50 companies, Nifty 50, what is your guess? FII holding कितना होना चाहिए और हम लोगों का holding कितना होना चाहिए? Take a guess. Directionally, you don't have to say exact numbers. So in Nifty, if there was a price, sir should have got it. In Nifty, non-promoter, non-institution holding is 4%. And FII's holding in Nifty is at least 30%, 29 to 30% or maybe more but not less. So now let me repeat the numbers for you. In the full market, foreigners are 25 or lower and we are about 10%. But when it comes to the best 50 companies in India, FIIs are nearly 30 or higher and we are 4% or even lower than 4. And promoters have pretty much the same holding. What does this statistic tell you? So in a simplistic terms, it tells you that as you go up on the quality of companies, the institution holding goes up, retail holding goes down. As you go down on the quality of companies, the institution holding goes down and retail holding goes up. What is the reason for this? वही सब कंपनी यहाँ पे है ना? So what is the reason? What is your guess? What is the reason? So she says lack of education, temptation to make money fast. I would not say it is lack of education. Maybe you can say it is half education. Any other guess?
Tips.
Tips.
Yeah.
Tip. Tip ke, sorry? People look at face value. Brilliant. See what happens is, I'll give you a very simple example. There are two companies which are available in the market. Okay. One is called Eicher Motors, which is trading at 16,000 rupees. There is another company called Suzlon, which is trading at 16 rupees. Which one would you like to buy? No, so let me ask it differently. Let me ask differently. And this time only the ladies in the house will answer this question. Okay, only ladies can answer. When summer comes, we go and buy mangoes. So I tell you that there is one carton. Now all the women are hearing very carefully. So if I tell you that one carton of mangoes is available for 300 rupees a dozen, and there is another carton of mangoes which is available for 500 rupees a dozen, which one is cheaper? 300 is cheaper. Anybody else agrees, disagrees? Now. Exactly. Everybody is scared to answer. No, ma'am, you have to answer. Which one is cheaper?
Ultimately, it will depend on how many good things you have left at the end, and that will decide the cost.
तो एक ही वेंडर थोड़ी होता है, वेंडर तो बहुत है.
You have to do your research.
Have to do your research. Just say 300 is cheaper or 500 is cheaper. Or if you are given MBA entrance exam, at least you can say data is insufficient. No, that's the correct answer. That is the correct answer. Yesterday I was in Delhi and a lady told me the data is insufficient. You know why she said data is insufficient? Because she said that ultimately I have to remove pulp. Now you tell me किसमें से कितना pulp निकलेगा. I was very impressed. I said you come and make the presentation. But she is right. See, she is right. I'll tell you why. Because the stock which is available for 16 rupees, let us say it has not made any profit in the last 3 years, and the stock which is available for 16,000 rupees may have a 1,000 rupee EPS. Now you tell me which one is cheaper. So what is happening is that just the way we buy sachet, we are buying stocks. See, if I tell you that the sachet is 2 rupees and the bottle is 100 rupees, which one would you find cheaper? But if you see the grammage, then which one would be cheaper? So if mangoes are 300 rupees a dozen and 500 rupees a dozen, and some idiot asks you this question, it is data insufficient because you don't know what is the quality. कौन सा रत्नागिरी से आया है, कौन सा जौनपुर से आया है, you don't know. किस में से कितना pulp निकलेगा, right? You don't know. But normally when people are buying shares, what they are doing is they are not checking किस में से कितना pulp निकलेगा. That is one big problem, right? So when you are buying shares, you are actually buying earnings. But what people think that जो सस्ता है, जो कम है, वही ऊपर जा सकता है. जो ऊपर है already वो कैसे और ऊपर जाएगा? The fact is that when 2 rupees becomes 20, 2000 becomes 20,000. There is actually no difference. Okay. Now I'll tell you another interesting thing. Whenever I take names of shares, this may or may not be in the portfolio. It's not advice. It is just examples. Okay. So a lot of times I meet a lot of investors, and they see our portfolios and our fact sheets, and then they tell me that ऊपर सबसे ऊपर नाम लिखा होता है. समझो take a list from here. Let's say I have written. Let's say the top holding in our portfolio is say HDFC Bank. Okay, example. Now a lot of times what people tell us कि इसमें इतना special क्या बोला आपने, ये तो सबको पता है. You tell me which is the next HDFC Bank. कुछ नया बताओ ना. अभी somebody said tip, right?
Yeah.
Tips. So somebody said, does anybody ever call you and give you a tip? HDFC Bank ले लो. ऐसा tip कभी कोई देता है? देना चाहिए, देता नहीं है कोई. Okay. But I'll tell you something. So when we have this, a lot of times investors tell me that what is so special about you? तो HDFC Bank हमको सबको पता है, right? कुछ नया बताओ. Tell me which is the next HDFC Bank. It's a normal question. So now I always give him 2 answers and I tell him or her that you please choose which answer you like and do accordingly. So I'll give you the same choice. Now I can give 2 answers. My first answer is that look, this is a bank whose earning has been growing at more than 20% every year. There is simple rule in arithmetic that if something is growing 20% every year, then in roughly 3.5 to 4 years, it will double. So if there is this bank, which is HDFC Bank, if their earnings are growing more than 20% every year, then leave the share price aside for a minute. If the earnings are growing more than 20% every year, then between 3 to 4 years, the earnings will double. तो अभी जितना प्रॉफिट बना रहा है 4 साल के बाद उतना और बनाएगा. सो एक के बदले 2 हो गया. सो माय फर्स्ट आंसर इज दैट नेक्स्ट HDFC Bank इज HDFC Bank itself, बिकॉज अभी जितना है उतना और जोड़ लेगा 4 साल में. ओके, दैट इज द फर्स्ट आंसर. यू पार्क इट. देयर इज अनदर आंसर आई कैन गिव. सर ऐसा है, एक बैंक है साउथ में. पिछले 70-80 साल में तो ज़्यादा कुछ हुआ नहीं है, बट अभी मैंने देखा है कि पूरा मैनेजमेंट चेंज कर दिया. टोटल पूरा मैनेजमेंट चेंज कर दिया, ब्रांडिंग चेंज कर दिया, पूरा मल्टीनेशनल स्टाफ भी लेके आ गए. दे हैव कंप्लीटली रीब्रांडेड इट, न्यू प्रोडक्ट्स दे आर लॉन्चिंग, दे आर ओपनिंग ब्रांचेस एवरीवेयर, दे आर वेरी अग्रेसिव एंड दे आर कैप्चरिंग लॉट ऑफ मार्केट शेयर, दे आर गिविंग लोन्स एट वेरी अग्रेसिव रेट्स एंड द हूज हू हैव स्टार्टेड ओपनिंग अकाउंट्स विद देम. मुझे क्या लगता है ना कि आप इस पे नजर रखना, शायद यही अगला HDFC बैंक बन जाएगा. This is my second answer. Which answer impressed you more? Which answer made you think कि हाँ अभी कुछ होने वाला है? Which answer did you like? See, I can tell you in this room, everybody will prejudge me or everybody will second guess me and say नहीं first वाला बराबर था. But अपने दिल पे हाथ रख के बताओ कौन सा ज़्यादा interesting था? Which one was more interesting? Okay, which one made you feel that this guy knows something which I don't know? Second one, right? Now you tell me something. There is a bank 20 years plus run by the same team consistently. Well established processes, products, fantastic bench strength. पूरा track record है actually के 20% grow होता है. Actually there is a track record. It's there. It's happened for 20 years. Okay? वो नहीं believe करेंगे. लेकिन कोई somebody will suddenly come from somewhere and make a new one that will believe. So what happens, it's very good to believe in miracles. It's not good to put money on miracles. There is a difference. See, when we are kids, we are told this story that there is a princess and there is a frog. Then the princess kissed the frog and he became Prince Charming. You heard this? is not applicable to stock market. Every once in a while, and ऐसा नहीं है कि होता नहीं है, every once in a while there is a frog which becomes Prince Charming. Then unfortunately 6 months later he goes back to being a frog. So it's better that you buy a king who is going to become emperor and emperor who is going to be ruler of the world. Don't waste too much time looking for frogs which are about to be kissed. It's a very difficult thing to do. Normally you will end up buying Prince Charming, he will go back to being a frog. And every once in 10-20 years some such miracle happens. It doesn't matter if you catch it slightly late. You don't have to be the guy who actually found it. Okay? So that